All right, so far we have worked on this formula sheet with the formulas from the middle to the bottom. We've done all the ones on the bottom half. Y'all agree? We're now going to be working on the formulas on the top half, from here to here. Okay? So again, you're going to have this every day. You won't have to memorize any of them. Watch how easy number one is. When you have a problem that's got something squared in either a plus one or a minus one, look on your formula sheet. Look in the middle section that says, let me find my formula sheet, Pythagorean identities, I believe. Pythagorean identities. Look in that section. There's 9 formulas right here. Y'all see it right here? Find the one that matches secant squared minus 1. What's your answer? It's right here in the middle, guys. Secant squared minus 1 equals tangent squared. All right, when you can simplify this down to one word, you're done. That's all you do on number 1. Now, that was extremely easy. Yes, it's going to get harder than that. Harlan, you got him while I'm writing the next one down. So Matthew, anytime you got something squared, tangent squared, sine squared, it doesn't matter, with a plus 1 or a minus 1, look in this section right here that's got these 9 formulas. All right, and just replace it. All right, now, do we have anything on this section that's squared with a plus 1 or a minus 1? No. So, I need to show y'all something before we go any further. We got sine x equals 1 over CSC. We got cosine x equals 1 over secant x. We got tangent x equals sine over cosine x. We got cosecant x equals 1 over sine. We got secant x equals cosine x. And then your last one is cotangent x equals cosine over sine. All right, I probably didn't have to write them all down, but I did anyway. Look at the top of your formula sheet. All right, Taylor, you see the one right here that says tangent of x equals 1 over cotangent or sine over cosine. Do y'all see that? I only want you to use sine over cosine. Mark out the 1 over cotangent. Mark it out with your pencil. We're never going to use that. All right, same thing on the one right across from it. Look, cotangent x right here. We want to use cosine over sine. Mark out 1 over tangent. Mark that one out so you don't use it. Don't mark out the whole thing. Mark that one out there. Mark that one out there. Anybody need some help on that? Okay. All right, so now let's go back to number 2. Okay, so saying what I said a minute ago, we don't have anything here that's 1 with a plus or minus and something squared. So now we're going to use the top formulas. And here's what you got to do. We got to change everything, Matthew, and make it into sines and cosines. So what do we change tangent into? What's it say on the top? Here, I just had it right here. Tangent changes into sine x over cosine x. Okay? So we're going to change that one to sine x over cosine x. What do I change cotangent into? Cosine over sine. Does everyone see where we're getting these formulas from? Now watch how easy this problem is going to be. As long as it's multiplication, we can cross stuff out. Cosines cross out, right? Sines cross out, right? What's your answer when everything crosses out? Answer's 1. So when you can simplify this down to one word or one number, we're good. Stop. Don't make it harder than what it is. All right, let's go to 3. 1 over sine squared x. Guys, I'm making that an x right there instead of that Greek symbol, that theta or whatever it is, making it an x. Cosine squared x over sine squared x. Okay. All right, so when I've got multiplication, I try to cross stuff out. Those are easy. What if it's add or subtract? You have to find a common denominator, just like we've done for the last month, just like what was on your midterm. So, watch this. Our common denominator on this one, okay, look, this one is not really a common denominator problem. We can do this one very quickly because don't they already have the same thing on the bottom? So we won't have to go through all the common denominator steps. All you have to do on one like this, bring the bottom down one time, and just combine the top. Take the top off both fractions and write it inside your top on your top fraction. All right, now I've got a 1 minus cosine squared. Anytime you got a 1 to something squared, it's going to be a formula. Check your middle section. Check the Pythagorean identities. Tell me what 1 minus cosine squared changes into. Sine squared. Does everybody see that on your paper? All right, so look, I want to show you something one time, and I want to show you again. Sine squared means we got sine x times sine x, right? Y'all don't have to write that down. I still got, well, never mind. Okay. And this one's sine x and sine x. Okay, I didn't have to do it on this problem. I was thinking I had something else. Bottom line is everything cancels out. What's your answer? Answer's 1. All right, 4 and 5 are really easy. You guys look at 4. See if that's a formula, that cosecant squared minus cotangent squared. Look on your sheet, see if that's a formula. Is it or not? What's it equal? All right, so look, all you do on this one, 2 times 1 is 2.
Oh.
It is. So I need to show you where I got that from.
Yeah, right here.
All right. This is your section that's got all the formulas where something is squared. We're looking for cosecant squared minus cotangent squared. There it is right there. Equals 1. So I put 1 in the place of cosecant squared minus cotangent squared. 2 times 1 is 2. Now again, I don't expect y'all to memorize these formulas, but you're going to have to recognize, hey, I got something squared with a plus or minus in the equation. Find it on the sheet. All right, 5 is going to be pretty easy. Let's go to 5. I got cosecant x, cosine x, and tangent x. All right, Brianna, do I have any x squares at all in this problem? So look, I won't have to look at this section any, I'll just have to look at the top section. And our rules are, if it's not sine or cosine, then you need to change it into sine or cosine. So what does cosecant x change into? Y'all look on your sheet. Nope, look on your sheet. 1 over sine. So that one's 1 over sine. Do I have to change cosine into 1 over secant? No. If it's already sine or cosine, leave it. We're trying to change everything into sine and cosine, so we're just going to leave that like it is. All right, what does tangent change into? Look on your sheet. Sine x over cosine x. Now, you guys do your crossing out. We'll see what we're left with. So if it doesn't have squares, and I use these at the top. All right, now watch. This sign can cancel out this sign, even though it's all the way on the end. That's fine. As long as one's on bottom and one's on top, you can cancel. Those two cancel. One's cancel. Everything canceled, so my answer is 1. All right, 6. I got sine x plus cosine x and tangent x. All right, Brianna, once again, do I have anything in here that's got an x squared in it? Then I don't use that Pythagorean section. I go to the top. All right, so same thing. You guys want to go through, change everything into sine and cosine. So do I have to change the first one? No, it's already sine. Do I have to change the second one? Nope, it's already cosine. But I do have to change the third one. What does tangent change into? Sine x over cosine x. Alright, once you've changed everything, now see if you cross anything out. Remember, you can only cross stuff out if it's being multiplied or multiplication. What crosses out of here? I got sine x plus sine x. That's 1 sine x plus 1 sine x is 2 sine x.
Why couldn't you choose sine x squared?
Okay, if it's sine x times sine x, Brianna, then it's sine x squared. If it's plus, then you got to add the like terms. 1 plus 1 gives me 2.
Why did you put a 1 underneath on number 5 under the cosine? You put a 1, but on this one you didn't. Wow.
You don't have to put a 1. If you want to put a 1 here, if it makes it easier for you to see there's a 1 there, you can do that. You don't have to.
Only if it's in parentheses.
I mean, look, you put a 1. You put a 1 there if you want to. You don't have to. We don't normally show the 1 if it's on the bottom. I was just trying to show you right here, Harlan, that these are all fractions and we're going to try to cross everything out. All right, 7 looks like an easy one. I got sine x. I got 1 plus cotangent squared x. All right, so, Brianna, this is what I'm talking about. I got an x squared here, and I got a plus or minus. So we got to use that other section this time. You want to find 1 plus cotangent squared. It equals cosecant squared. Somebody show Harlan. Is he asking? Now, on the sheet of paper, it says cotangent squared plus 1. Same thing. Does everybody see where I'm getting that from? Hello? See it? All right, so that's your first step. Use that section, change it. Now we have to check and see if I have anything I can change on the top. And here's where we got to look at something right here. You guys see on the top of your formula sheet, it says cosecant x equals 1 over sine x, right? Everybody sees that? Well, if cosecant equals 1 over sine, then cosecant squared equals 1 over sine squared. So that's not written down on your paper. You just have to make that change. So this is going to be sine x, and this is 1 over sine squared.
Can you repeat that?
I'll say it again. Look at the top of your page. Here, I got one right here. Find where it says cosecant x equals 1 over sine. Does everybody see it? So if cosecant x equals 1 over sine, then if it's cosecant squared, it equals 1 over sine squared. And again, Taylor, it's not going to say that anywhere. You just have to know to make that adjustment. All right, so look at this one right here. Tangent squared is tangent x is sine over cosine. So what is tangent squared going to equal? Sine squared over cosine squared. You just add the squares. Yeah, on any of them. All right, so now we can do our crossing out. All right, now remember, sine squared means you got sine x times sine x. You really got 2 of them, right? So I mark off 1 on the top and 1 on the bottom. I'm left with a 1 on top and a sine x on bottom. Now, can I change that into one word? Because we're trying to simplify them down to one word, one trig function. 1 over sine will change into cosecant. All right, most of these are going to be 2 steps, 3 steps at the most. Okay, I've showed y'all a lot of easy ones so far. Now, number 8 is a challenge. We're going to save number 8 for the end. I don't want y'all throwing stuff at me. 9 looks really easy. And then we'll do number 10. All right, you guys do 9. I got sine x. I got secant x. Do 9, you're going to have to change secant because you want to change everything into sine and cosine. So look on your sheet, see what you can change secant into. What does secant change into? 1 over cosine. All right, so one thing we got to remember, Harley, this sine x is really sine over 1, and secant's 1 over cosine. Everybody good? Secant x, it says it at the top, right? Secant is 1 over cosine. All right, now, does anything cancel out on this one? No. Well, the 1s, okay, that doesn't really help. So now, if nothing cancels out, you've got to multiply straight across to get your answer. So we're going to have a sine on top, and we're going to have a cosine on bottom. Do we agree on that? So now change that into one word. The answer's tan. All right, number 10. Secant x minus cosine x. All right, I'm going to do this one with you. All right, what do I change secant into? 1 over cosine. Cosine, I leave it. I'm just going to make it cosine over 1. All right, write that step down. Okay, good question. That was my next question. Can I cross these two out? No. The only time you can cross out, Matthew, is if it's multiplication. All right, so this is going to be what we're going to have to work on the most for the next week before we have our test next Friday or Thursday. This got a plus or minus in the middle. We have to do a common denominator. Now, every common denominator problem you guys have had so far for the last month, all you would do is write your cosine x up top and go from there. But that's when we had an equal sign in the problem. We don't have an equal sign. This is not an equation. So what you have to do, well, first of all, what's your rules about common denominator? We use 1 of everything on the bottom, right? So we're going to use cosine x. You have to write it on the bottom of the fraction. That's what's new. We didn't do that before because we had an equal sign. We don't have an equal sign now. You got to write it on the bottom. It's your new denominator. All right, now something else I had y'all do for the last month, whatever the common denominator was, we would write it here and we would write it here. That's the same thing we've done for the last month. All right, now we have to do our crossing out. So, on the first fraction, this cosine cancels out that cosine. Remember, you can only cross something out on the bottom. You can't cross anything out on the top. So since these canceled out, I bring down my 1. Now, can I cancel these out right here? Nope. So I got to times them, cosine times cosine is cosine squared. Okay, that's what we're going to have to get better at. That one step, going from here to here, is what we're going to have to work on a lot for a week. All right, now, can I cross out that cosine with a cosine here? Nope. The plus or minus won't let you. But 1 minus cosine squared. Notice that's a formula. Find it on your sheet. What does 1 minus cosine squared change into? Sine squared x. Okay, I don't like this problem. I would not give you this problem on a test. Here's why. Guys, if we had sine over cosine for our answer, that would be tangent x for our answer. If we had sine squared over cosine squared, that would be tangent squared. Y'all agree? We don't have either one. So that would just be left that way. I'm never going to give you one on a quiz or a test, Matthew, that doesn't simplify down to one word, one trig function. So I wouldn't give you this one because I don't like having an answer like that. Because when you get it to simplify down to one word, you pretty much know you're right. All right, that was 10. 10 was kind of tough. Now, 8's a doozy. Tan squared x minus sine squared x over tan squared x and sine squared x. Okay. So far, I've given y'all a lot of easy problems, two-step problems. If you have 20 problems on your next test, 15 of them are going to be the easy ones like we've done so far. I'm only going to give you like one like this, maybe two. Okay? How much time we got? If we could finish down through 15, then take a bathroom break would be good. I see some of y'all are fading out on. All right, so what I would do first, Matthew, I would hope tangent squared minus sine squared is a formula. Check your sheet, see if that's a formula. I don't think so. I don't see it anywhere. All right, so we can't do it. If we could do that, it would make it a lot easier. So what we're going to have to do is change them now. So what does tangent change into? Sine squared over cosine squared. Do I want to change sine? No. I want to change everything into sine. Okay, and here's how you know. You first check the middle section, the bottom section. See if we can change that out with a formula. We could. So now you go to the top. So sine squared, I'm going to leave it sine squared over 1. We'll stop here, see if anybody's got a question.
So even though we're using tan x, since it's squared, we just make the other two things squared?
Yep, every time.
Why can't you just cross out the tan x on the bottom?
Okay, Caitlin's got a good question. Why can't we cross that out with that? Subtraction, sign, this is everything.
So
If that was multiplication and that was multiplication, yeah, we'd mark them all out.
Okay.
But if it's minus, you got to do common denominator step, which is what we're going to do. Now the bottom, tan squared is sine squared over cosine squared. And then that's just sine squared over 1. All right, so that's where we are. I'll let you guys get caught up before I do the next step. Now remember, you're not going to have many like this, but if you want to make an A on the next test, you got to know how to do this. What was that, Brent? All right, so let's do the bottom. The bottom looks easier. All right. Harlan, does any of these cancel out? I got multiplication, so I can cancel. Does anything cancel here? Nope, so we time straight across. Let me ask you this. What's x4 times x4 going to give you? That would give you x to the 8th. Good. All right. Just giving you an example. So now we've got sine squared times sine squared. What's that going to give us? Sine 4. All right, so our bottom is pretty much done. Y'all, if you just want to watch me do this one and write the answer, you can. All right, I'm not really worried about y'all getting the bottom. The top's what I'm worried about because we got to do a common denominator. What's our common denominator going to be on this one? Cosine squared. Remember, it's one of everything on the bottom. Remember, I want y'all to write it up here the way we've done the last month. I think that helps you. All right, so Harlan, what cancels out on this first fraction right here? Everybody understands those cancel. I bring over sine squared. Matthew, does anything cancel on this one? So I got to bring them both over. Sine squared and cosine squared. All right, you guys have not been challenged in here very much. This problem is going to challenge. All right, now something else we got to do. This is like the hardest problem I can. All right, look.
Hey, is there going to be one or how many questions will I ask on the test? I am going to do it.
These two right here. All right, then I'll just go through this really fast. All right, Matthew, these two have a sine squared in common, so I'm going to take out a sine squared. Watch what it gives me. It's going to give me sine squared. 1 minus cosine squared is left over. Still got cosine squared on the bottom.
Of what?
These two had a sine squared in common, so I took one out. And when I did, I had a 1 for that section. Took it out from here, and I had cosine squared left.
What if it's sine and then sine squared? Did you take a sine out?
Yep,
Can we not cancel out the cosines on the bottom?
we will in a minute.
I got a question.
All right.
Just doing it.
Why wouldn't
Get 'em
you
off
just
the
subtract those two since there's a subtraction
You
Now
can't,
you just keep changing, look, don't you?
eventually, yes.
Eventually.
We still
Now,
got more?
One minus cosine squared changes into what? Brooke,
Is that cosine 7x?
that's 2, Brooke, come on. Alright, so read the top again. What's 1 minus cosine squared change into? Look on your formula sheet. Sine squared. So look, if that's sine squared,
So you
then
can
sine squared times sine squared gives me sine 4 over cosine squared. Here I got sine 4 over cosine squared. And Kaylin said our last step is going to be keep, change, flip.
So the answer's 1.
So the answer is 1.
We did all that work for 1.
Yeah, I'm building the answer as 1.
Alright, that cancels. We did all that for 1.
You better want, he's gonna do this. What do you use this in real life? What,
Test next Thursday.
Yes, Thursday.
Math teacher.
Hey, see, like, the right triangle.
You don't use that on the form right there, Matthew?
Hey, no, hey, the right triangle, no, that.
Hey, are you gonna, on the test, are you gonna count on points for,
It's right or wrong, Caleb. There's no way, I'm not grading every step. It's right or wrong. You can't get one.
What if you show no work and you just put an answer and it ends up being right?
I would question it. I would question your integrity. I would assume you cheated.
But here's the thing, if I just put 1, then you know I just did it because the answer was 1.
Alright, so look. Alright, that's a really good college math problem right there. Look at that. That's good stuff.
That's a waste, that's what I call a waste of time right
Alright, I'll tell you what, let's do 11 and 13, and then we'll go to the bathroom. And let y'all walk around and stretch out, because some of y'all fading out on y'all going to school.
I need to do that many times. This is start right there.
Yeah.
You're
11
confusing, you're confusing.
plus sine x.
Let's take a time out.
I'm done.
Yeah, we're.
This guy sucks for learning this right before the weekend.
Guys, we're going to be doing this for a week. Now, we're not going to only do this for a week. I'll mix some other stuff in here. I want y'all coming back. I don't want y'all to just quit. Alright, so look at 11. Let's do 11 and 13, guys, and then we'll have a break. 11 and 13 have fractions in it where nothing else, 11 through 16, have any fractions. Do y'all agree? Alright? What else is new on the problems at the bottom of the page, 11 through 16? We now have an equal sign on every problem. Okay? So we're going to do 11 through 13 because they're the same type. They both have fractions in it. We'll go to break. We'll come back and do the other ones. All right, so you guys see I had 1 plus sine x. I put a 1 under it. If I got a fraction on one side, make it a fraction on the other. Now, the easiest way to show the left side is equal to the right side on this is by cross multiplying. Only on 11 and 13 when you cross multiply, that's the only ones where you have fractions. So, what do I get when I times these two right here? Cosine squared times 1. Cosine squared, right? Everybody agree? All right, when we cross on the other side and I times 1 plus sine x and I times 1 minus sine x. No, it doesn't cancel. Some of it cancels.
Oh, you get to foil that?
Ah, there we go. We're going to have to foil that.
Oh my God.
All right. Why don't y'all let me show you a shortcut? Deal? Don't write this down. Don't write this down. If we FOIL this out, we've got, whoops. Okay, so if we did the FOIL method, did all 4 steps, we would have that. Normally, when we have a FOIL method problem, Jacob, the middle always cancels out anyway. I got a plus sign and a minus sign. So why don't we start memorizing? If I have 1 plus sine x and 1 minus sine x, that's just going to be 1 minus sine squared. What if, Matthew, you had 1 plus cosine x and 1 minus cosine x? Then it would be what? So if you would just remember the shortcut, you won't have to do all the FOIL stuff. Okay? All right, now.
1 plus or minus the same thing.
Yeah, the middle's gonna cancel out anyway.
So it'd be 1 minus.
All right, last step. We gotta show, now look, the